welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. So in theme for the new year, we are going to do a video about my goals for 2026. So I'm not really the type to subscribe to the rebrand sort of thing, more of a refine, because all of my goals are things that I already do. We're just tightening it up so that I can make sure I achieve all of the goals that I'm looking to achieve by the end of the year and actually do it, because without action, it is just a wish, and a wish can happen without what? Action. So I am going about it by having my goals and then action steps for those goals. I don't know that I'm going to share the action steps part yet. We'll kind of just flow and see where this goes. But I wrote down all of my goals in my sketchbook. So each year I do get a new sketchbook, because each year I do fill at least one sketchbook. And I also like to do a vision board on the cover of my sketchbook. I have not done that with this new one yet. We're saving that for the 31st. And I think when I'm filming this, it's like the 29th or something like that. So haven't done that yet, but will eventually. Any hooser. Goals. And I broke them up into 3 categories. So my first one is art. Then I have like health and wellness like mashed together. And then finances. And finances is my smallest one, because I in my head, it feels like if I'm able to do all of my art goals, then the finances will follow. So that is not my primary motivation. The other things are. So first goal is I need to keep my website updated, and I want to do that and will be doing that monthly. So to be able to do that, I have also implemented, I already had a planner that I did use towards the second half of the year, and my beautiful purple Filofax. Maybe at some point I'll do like a, I don't know, tour kind of look of what's inside this guy. But utilizing this has been a big game changer. And for some of my goals to be obtained, that guy does need to be in play. So for my updates, I am scheduling admin days. I'm building in 2 into my month to be able to get that sort of stuff done. Because if it's scheduled, I have found, especially when it's stuff I don't want to do, that I will procrastinate and find anything else to do instead of what I'm supposed to be doing. So updating my website monthly, and I am doing that this month for next month. So we will be starting on an updated website for 2026, which I'm very proud of, because again, I hate that shit. I'm not tech savvy. It is very frustrating for me, but I do think it could be beneficial, and I do know it would be beneficial if I actually kept up with it. So I need to do a better job with that. And then my second goal is with my art shows. I want to find shows that are in different cities and also different states. So I usually throughout the year do between 10 to 20 shows. So more often than not, I'm doing about 2 shows a month. Sometimes more than that, sometimes less. But with that, I have primarily stayed in Austin. I've had a couple of things in San Antonio, but I really want to look into Houston in particular. And I also want other cities. I would love to, of course, be somewhere in New York, since it's like a big art hub area, but I also am open to quite literally anywhere else. So we will be pursuing that actively and intentionally this year. One of my other goals is to have, that does tie into this, my previous goal of having shows at different places, is gallery representation. And to do that, I need to make a deck. So it'll have like my CV, my artist statement, bio, image list, if I'm like proposing a show in particular, that show proposal would be a part of it as well. But this is kind of something you send out to other art spaces. And if they're interested, then you get to be like not necessarily residency, but like consistent in the gallery or museum space, or, you know, have like a shorter showcase that might be a couple of months at a time. But that is a priority. And this year I actually was able to connect with a mentor who will be super helpful with that. So all of these kind of, like, if you haven't noticed, will kind of piggyback off of each other. Anywho's our next goal is to have a solo show, and I want to put on the solo show. So I have had a couple of solo shows throughout the last few years, but I have never put on a show myself where I am the curator, project manager, all of it. I want, and I would love to do that because I feel like having that type of control, one, I think I'll learn a lot from it, but I think it'll give me a lot more confidence when doing my show proposals, and to also create the opportunities I'm wanting to have myself. I'm finding myself kind of outgrowing some of the spaces I am in, but having a hard time finding new places to expand into. And I think a nice little middle ground to get me to where I want to go would be taking more of that control in my own hands and putting on a show. So that's one of my goals for this year, to put on my own solo or small group show. Well, I'm kind of in between, but I want to put on a show by myself. Next goal is to get a residency somewhere. So I haven't talked about this anywhere else yet, but I do have an online residency that I will be a part of for 2026. It's with, hold on, I actually have. So this is work from the artist that did it this last year, but it is Herbie and Hob, which essentially is like an insurance middleman. They help find service providers for people. And they have, in the last, I think it is the last 5 years, started doing online residencies for women. And, well, I don't think it's specific to women, but all of the artists so far have been women. And so I'll be doing that this year, which is exciting, but I do want to do a physical residency somewhere. I don't know where, just somewhere. I haven't got specific with what that looks like yet, but will be something I am also pursuing. I want to get back into doing markets. So when I first moved to Austin in 2020, I did a lot of markets, and that's how I got into bigger art spaces. And I have found them a little less beneficial in the last year and a half or so. But I would like to dip my toe back into that space slightly, and maybe doing a market one every 3-ish months or something like that. Especially since I now have my nail technician license. It's a great way for me to promote that, as well as my artwork other places. And it's just a good way to like network with people as well. I want to also do a podcast and or interviews. I'm just trying to get better at feeling comfortable about public speaking, especially about my art. And I think those two spaces would be a great way to do that. And then also like longer form content, I think is ideal, because I personally, as a creative, really enjoy watching and listening to other creative people talking about whatever they make. And in long form, I feel like you're able to get so much more information about them than if it were to be anything like a TikTok or like an Instagram reel. I think those are good for highlights, but to get in depth, I think longer form content makes more sense. So that's one of my goals. And then a newsletter and blog post. So I started a newsletter, I think like mid of 2025, and I've been pretty good about being consistent with it, but I want to make sure that I'm doing that. So one of the ways that I'm going to ensure that I am consistent is I have pre-written a couple of like filler newsletters that have information about like the lore behind my artwork. So like say I get really busy or I'm sick or my mental health takes, because that also happens, that I have something to put out where I'm not gonna have to put a lot of effort in. So it's just kind of like a backup reserve of media that I can use for both that newsletter and my blog posts. And then I also, YouTube, I want to try to be more consistent here. And I don't know if you notice a difference at all, but this is a new camera. I am not, in fact, filming on my phone for a change. So, haha. And I want to also do YouTube videos twice a month. So I am going to try my darndest to do that. I want to at least do monthly, but goal is to do them twice a month. And then my last goal that kind of puts a lot of these other goals as like an end game is to go to Art Basel for 2026. I really, really want to do that. It's around my birthday, so like I think that would be fun. And then my family, my parents live in Florida too, so also nice. But if I am able to make that happen, that would be perfect. And like super extra layer to this goal, I guess, is that I would like to be able to pay for that trip with money that I make exclusively from my paintings. So I, throughout the year, will be putting that to the side so I can afford to fly myself and my husband out to Art Basel, and then also obviously go and experience it. And stretch goal is to actually have my own artwork there. I have not the slightest idea on how I'm going to do that yet, but we're putting it out there and I would love to do that. So we're spinning ideas of how to make that happen. So that is most of my art goals. I'm sure like parts of that will kind of evolve, or even I'll have more things that I want to try to pursue within there. Like I have been thinking about, with my newsletter, having like some sort of like subscription thing for art. I have not any idea what that's going to look like at all yet. It's just like an idea floating around in my head. But I think that could be fun, whether it be like a small print or buttons or stickers or something that I send out monthly to people who pay a small monthly amount, or something I just do sporadically. I don't know. It's something that I'm interested in possibly exploring, but have not gotten that far with that yet. But for the most part, that is my art goals. So next would be health and wellness. So a lot of my health and wellness goals also are self-care specific. This last year, I have had a lot of family members have really unfortunate news with like their health, and it kind of just put things into perspective that I have got to prioritize my health and my rest and self-care. One, not only does it like fuel other areas of my life, but I only have one body. I have to take care of it. And if my vessel is not taken care of, then I am not taken care of. So we are making that a huge priority. And also, back to that planner, we are scheduling rot days, massages, and general activities, and rot days are a non-negotiable. I need days where I don't do anything, and I have, and honestly, since I've moved out here in 2020, have had a nasty problem with like overbooking and scheduling myself real bad. And I know that that is not good for my physical body, but also is not good for my mental health. And I need to find a better balance to have longevity. And I need to start prioritizing that, because it every year it comes around and bites me in the ass. So we are prioritizing that for sure this year. Like it's a non-negotiable for me. So but some of those goals to make sure those things happen are, like I said, the monthly massage, self-care, super important, especially if I'm going to be active. This year, I did get 10K steps almost every single day. And that will also be rolling into next year to continue doing that. And I also really enjoyed it because I love a long walk, especially when it's nice out. So that's not a hard one. That's more of just like a for me, that feeds me. I want to be able to go to the gym 3 times a week. I kind of do that now, but I want to be a little more structured with that. So going to the gym 3 times a week, specifically to weightlift. And then I also this year took my first Pilates class. It turns out I like it. It is super difficult, way harder than I had anticipated, but that's part of what I like. I like the challenge and I can do hard things. And it's a nice way to prove to myself that I can do hard things. So I also want to implement going to Pilates 2 times a month. So it also helps with the balance, and I do in fact like to fall. So dual benefit there. Like I was saying with the family stuff, I have not been someone who goes to the doctor for much of anything. And I have not been to the doctor in, I couldn't even tell you how long. These glasses, in fact, I have probably had this exact pair of glasses that are scratched up and probably no longer my prescription, at least not in the same way, for probably 8 years. So one of my goals is I need to go to a primary doctor, an eye doctor, and I have been good about the dentist in the last year. Even though I am terrified of the dentist, I do go. But I do, especially with these damn glasses, we have to go. We have to go to the doctor, and we need to do that. I want to prioritize and focus on eating whole foods. I have had quite the experience with diets. I grew up on fat diets, so I, for a while, had to like fix poor eating habits. And then I was vegan for a really long time. And I have PCOS and I am insulin resistant. So from doing the vegan diet, I learned that is not something that is unfortunately sustainable for me because of the insulin resistance. So prioritizing whole foods, so lots of protein, a lot of fiber, lots of vegetables. I do feel better eating that way, and sometimes I forget that because, you know, trash and like chips and stuff is delicious, but it does make me feel like shit. So we will be making sure that we were eating whole foods as much as possible, and ideally minimize eating out only to special occasion or like a date night or something. But cooking from home, cooking to nourish and fuel my body appropriately. That is one of the goals. I also have a goal of reading. So I have been an avid reader kind of forever. My parents used to like make me and my siblings read all the time. And so I read as well. But in this last year, I have found myself just kind of doom scrolling unnecessarily on my phone. And I don't like that. I don't like it. And I feel like a lot of the stuff I see on social media does just make me more anxious because of the state of the world, and that's not particularly helpful either. Like, I want to be informed and not overwhelmed. So to do that, I am going to read. And I have a huge stack of books. I'll show you some of them. So of course, this should not be a surprise to anybody. The Artist Way. I have tried to read this book, I think now 3 separate times. There's bookmarks even in here. How many times I've tried to read this damn book. I think this will be the 3rd time. And I have found it useful every time, even though I have not finished. But of course, it's going to be more useful if I actually get through the damn book. So this is one of the books, and I don't have a timeline for this. This one will probably just be worked on throughout the year. Then this is another one that doesn't really have a timeline. So with my reading in particular, I do like to learn things. So that's a lot of the things I have are to learn, and in particular, learn more about art and things that will help me with my career and craft. And I have a couple of just stories just cause, but most of this is stuff to make me a better artist. So this is another one of those books that will just be read in time. It is The Secret Lives of Color. So it just gives a really interesting backstory to colors, where they came from, how they've been used, some of the, what is it called? Sociology, but I think that might not be the right space to study. But the science behind why certain colors evoke certain feelings and how I can use that to my benefit as well. I've had this book for a year and I have not read this damn thing, but I definitely want to read this. It is The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. I generally like everything I have heard this man say, so I got this book, have had it for a while, have not read it. We will be reading it this year. So a couple of these are books that I recently just picked up that were recommendations from one of my other art friends, Sari. She is someone who has definitely inspired some of the books that I picked here, because she's a fountain of wealth of so many niche things that do pertain to art and how art is social commentary. And I just love that. I think that's so cool. It's chic. It's like, I love that shit. So some of these books were recommendations from her, but also when I saw them, I was like, oh, I think this could be useful in conversation with my art, the same way that Sari is able to apply some of the things she reads to hers. And so this is one of them. It's called Fear in Art, an Artist Survival Guide. I don't know what to expect with this. I thought it looked interesting. I really liked what it said in the back of the book. So this guy, and then these two were both recommendations from Sari. So this one is Muse, the uncovering of the hidden figures behind art history masterpieces. And most of this is about women and women who inspired art from different other artists that I will probably know the names of. And then Chromophobia. I'm very excited to read this. So those one, well, okay, so there's literally so many, and it's gonna take forever if I show you all these books. But I think I have 14 books on my list. This is the first one that I'm going to start in January. I have read this book before, but it's been a very long, probably like 4 or 5 years. So I want to reread it because I think it would be a nice little creative kick for the start. And I remember it being very inspiring. So reading this, I'm sure most people have heard of this one. This one's just kind of like a silly, goofy little read. It is Feline Philosophy, Cats and the Meaning of Life. Love that, because love cats. Got one literally sitting right next to me. And then Octavia Butler. I read Parable of the Sower like a year ago, I think, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I picked up a couple more books by her. So this one is Mind of My Mind, and then Parable of the Talents, which I believe is a sequel to Parable of the Sower, which I'm excited to read. And then I have this this book. I feel like kind of goes without question of why I would read that, but Race Matters with a new introduction, and I'm excited about this one. It's a short read, so hopefully I can't imagine it won't be interesting, but I don't think I've read anything by him, so I'm excited about this. I got this book at a art event actually, and I've just been holding on to it and have not read it at all, but Creative Quest. I'm excited. I keep saying that, but that's because I am genuinely excited about all of the books that I have picked to read. And almost all of these books, except for I think 3 or 4, are books I have had on my bookshelf for a hot minute now, and I just have not read. And we're making time to read them because last year I had a goal of like not really buying books, which I did in fact do, but I was also supposed to read all of the books I already had, and I did not do that. So we're making sure to do that this time. And then this one is called Women of Myth. And this book I think is all like short stories of different mythical women. It's a bunch of mythologies from different cultures and women characters, and there's, I don't know, but I'm excited to read. Also the art in it looks just like super pretty, but and then this one is one I have read, and I have read it several times, and I will continue to read it. It is, I think, one of my favorite books. It's high up there. But The Secret Letters of the Monks Who Sold His Ferrari. It's such a good book. Highly recommend this one. And then I have following up how to take risks, aim higher, and never stop learning, because very on theme for all of my goals. And then another book about risk it's called The Exquisite Risk, Daring to Live an Authentic Life. So, yeah. And I'm very excited about all of those things. And then also with the reading, I do have a goal of finishing one book a month. Some of these books are kind of small, which is why I have more than 12 books, because if I am finishing some of these shorter ones a little bit quicker, then I have another book to pick up. And I also have, two word searches instead of scrolling. That is one of the things that I would like to do to kind of fill my time. So I have one that lives in my purse, and then one that is downstairs in like my living room area. So anytime I'm like watching a show and kind of like not really paying attention, instead of grabbing my phone, we will be doing a word search. And then I want to make sure that I schedule a monthly date night with my husband, and making sure we prioritize keeping the like romance and spontaneity a little bit within a box. Because I don't do well with like not having things planned and scheduled, but I do want to make sure that we are taking time to be with each other and making it special and getting dressed up, and like that's it, because it's not the same as like just like sitting at home, which I do value and is important and necessary, but I think making things a little bit special is also necessary and important. And then with the date night, I also want to schedule a solo date for myself where I go do an activity, whatever the hell that activity might be. I don't know. The artist way might come into play with that, with having like a creative activity to do, because that's one of the lessons within the book, is to do like a creative date sort of thing. So we might pull inspiration from that and do it that way, but I'm not 100% sure on that yet. And then I also want to stick with, again, the artist way, and the morning pages. So I have a journal that because I have like, I think this might actually be the last empty journal I had, but like most people who enjoy stationery, I do just kind of hoard journals a little bit. But this one will be the one that I at least start the year with. I anticipate filling it if I'm going to be using it as consistently as I should and want to be. But I have had a couple of these journals and I actually really like them a lot. Sometimes there's prompts just like kind of in there. There's like quotes that are just kind of like inspiring. Like a quote on the bottom of this page says, "Use your beautiful voice with spiritual responsibility and wisdom." So just like, not really an affirmation, but a positive little tidbit. And yeah, I'm excited about that. So journal at least one for the year, ready to go. And then lastly is my financial goals. So like I had mentioned, I want to go to Art Basel. So my financial goal mostly is to be able to make enough money from art specifically that I am able to afford a trip like that for me and my husband. And then I also, it's a financial goal, but like not fully. I need to do better about keeping a log of how I'm doing at specific events, so I actually have data to like go back on whether or not that event is worth spending the money and time to do it again. So I don't think I haven't done that for any event I have I have done in the last forever, but I want to make sure I'm keeping track of how many paintings I sell, where I'm selling them at, how much I'm selling them for, what markets are doing well, how much I'm making at those markets, and etc. Just so again, next year in 2027, I have actually useful information to use to decide what was worth my time and what was not, instead of just like going off my memory, which is sometimes right, but like not always. And sometimes I might be doing better than I think I am. And it's just because I'm not keeping track of stuff that I like forget and, kind of just lose a little bit of that. And that's silly. So we're going to be a little bit more strategic about that. And then my last goal, it's not really a goal, but like more of like a rule for myself, is with wanting to make sure I'm prioritizing whole foods, I do love a little coffee, a little matcha, a little boba. I like a treat, a sweet treat. I do enjoy that, which I will allow myself to do, but I need to be able to buy it twice. So by that, I mean, if I'm buying a $7 coffee, I have to put $7 into my savings account. So I think that will be a good way to just kind of like rack up a little extra something, you know, $20 adds up over time. And to make sure that I have incentive to follow my goals as well. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. Generally, I am just trying to refine, do better. I don't want to look back on this next year and think, you know what, it was a good year, but it wasn't as magical, profitable, interesting, exciting as I had wanted to. And I don't want that to be because of me not doing what I should be doing to have those things for myself. So I want to just tighten up and literally live the life that like 16-year-old me would love and be excited and happy about. Like my goal is to do everything to make my younger self proud of me. Easy, simple, and attainable. I can do it. I can do it. I know I can, because I'm very close to what I would love my life to look like in all of the delusional ways. I'm way closer to that than for it to not be that way. Anyway, and the odds are in fact stacked in my favor. So I don't know. I'm optimistic. I know the world feels like it's burning down and on fire around us, but unfortunately, capitalism still exists, and you do have to participate. And if I'm going to participate, I'm going to participate in a way that I like to do it, and that makes me feel good. So we're going to put beautiful things into the world and be a nice person, shake some ass. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at for this year. But yeah, so I don't know. I will keep up with you guys on that. And also, if you're interested, maybe I can do little baby book reviews whenever I finish a book, because I need more content anyway. So maybe that'll be something that could be in the rotation with like the videos. We'll see. But yeah. Do you guys have any goals? What are those goals? Want to be accountability partners? I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited for 2025 to be over, mostly, to be quite honest with you guys. But yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you had a great holiday season. I hope you had a fun New Year's. I hope you were safe. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys later this month, because we're doing 2 videos. We're doing two. But yeah. Bye.